Hello again, everyone. This is Ryan Hansen with Insurance Designers of America. I'm really excited to have with us today as our presenters, Abby Baker, Trish DeDolce, and Dorota Meller from Prudential. They're going to be talking about 3 sales ideas using Index Universal Life. And this is part 3 of our 3-part Big Case Hunter webinar series. If you've missed one of the first 2 parts, be sure to ask your insurance designer's agency about it, and they could share a recording of one of those 2 calls with you. Before I turn it over to our Prudential friends, one quick housekeeping note. Attendee phone lines are going to remain muted throughout today's call to minimize distractions. If you have a question, we still want to hear it. The way to share your question with us is by typing it into the chat box using the GoToWebinar control panel on the right-hand side of your screen there, and our host will answer your question at the end of today's presentation. With that said, it's my pleasure to turn it over to Trish DeDolce with Prudential.
Thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you to everyone who's given up a half an hour today to listen to this presentation. This is the 3rd in a 3-part series, and we are always grateful and appreciative to you, Ryan, and Insurance Designers for the great partnership and work that you do. And like Ryan says, this is, meant to be interactive, so please do email those or text those questions over to Ryan, and Abby will be certain to answer them at the end of the presentation. Abby Baker is our Regional Vice President from the Central South Southern region, and she does a great job for us. She's an excellent presenter and knows her stuff. And although she resides in Kansas City, she's a staunch defender of the Cornhuskers. So with that, I'd like to bring you Abby Baker. Thank you, Abby.
Thank you, Trish. That's funny. I appreciate the warm welcome. And I want to thank all of you for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend this presentation and allowing me to share some valuable information that this life insurance sales presentation can help solve some solutions in retirement planning. So with that, there are really 5 derailers that can sabotage your retirement, and I'd like to talk to you about each one of them. What can really go wrong, right? You plan for retirement and you expect everything to go as planned. Let's take a look back and let's think about how retirement income has changed. Think about your parents and your grandparents even, and how what their responsibility was versus the government and companies that they worked for. As you can see, their responsibility was pretty minimal at the time, but man, it has changed tremendously. If you take a look at how it's changed, our responsibility and your client's responsibility has really taken the brunt of it, and the government and our companies now are very minimal. Let's assume that you're saving enough for retirement and you really have put a good plan in place. What could go wrong, right? We've got our rising healthcare costs. We've got outliving retirement savings. We've got our low interest rates, market volatility, and taxes that all could play a part on derailing what you believe is a good, solid retirement plan. Do you know that the #1 derailer and the one thing that people consistently are concerned about is healthcare costs? Do you have any idea what an average out-of-pocket medical cost is for an age 65-year-old couple? In 2018, you're going to be astonished. It's $280,000. And that's just estimated, and that's without any chronic illness or actual medical concern. That is one major derailer, but the other one, which is actually a blessing and a curse, is that we are living longer. 1 out of 2 people are going to have a chronic illness, and they don't think things are going to actually happen. Things aren't going to happen to them. 58% of women turning 65 will need a chronic illness at some point in their lifetime, and 47% of men are going to live to need chronic illness. How much is actually enough money to save, right? As I mentioned earlier, we're outliving our retirement. And the reason why is because we're living longer, which is a great thing. We all want to live longer. However, if we're not saving for that, that can be an issue. You know, when I started in this industry, the average life expectancy of a male was 74, and for a female, it was 76. Now we're up into the 80s of just average. And did you know that half of women are going to be turning age 90? They're going to live to age 90. And a quarter of all women that you know are going to live to age 95. With that being said, you can also see that there's a lot of people that will be living to age 100 or longer. If you think back to when you were younger, maybe even your teens and 20s, how many people did you know that lived to 100? Not very many. It was very rare. We're living longer and we're outliving our money at this point. So you've got to expect the unexpected. Because we're living longer, there are more things that can actually happen. We've got the changes to tax codes, inflation, natural disasters, our healthcare costs, as we talked about. You know, maybe your adult children need your help, or you're caring for your parents at this point, and you're putting your money and resources into them. So what could be the third derailer? Low interest rates. And you're going to ask yourself, maybe, why would that be a derailer? Well, what if you don't have enough money to do all the things that you're looking for, and you've been saving and saving, and you've put it into a very conservative bond or money market account? That being said, we've got real interest rate. We've got a paradox that plays pre and post retirement. Most of your life, you're looking for low interest rates so that you can buy your houses, and you're looking for low interest rates of a car. But when you turn into having when you go into retirement, you're wanting higher interest rates, so it pays more on your bonds and whatnot. Let's take a look at just the past 15 years. In 2005, the interest rate was 4.39, which if you had $100,000, you would get $4,390. Look at 2010. We didn't even think it was going to get lower than 3.30. But look at 2015. 2%. That's half of what it was in 2005. That can really derail everything that we have built up and spent our lives working for when it came to retirement. The fourth derailer is market volatility. All of this goes without saying, right? Market volatility will play a huge factor in all of our retirement. And we don't really know what's going to happen, but just take a look. This is over 66 years since 1951. That's just what the market has looked like in the S&P 500. That plays a huge range right there. And that was only 66 years ago. We're saving now, and we don't know what it will look like. So absolutely a market derailer. I want you to take a look at these order of return and know that it doesn't really matter when you're saving, right? They're all the same. At the end, it's all the average annual return of 5.89 on both scenarios. But I want you to think about this. In this same scenario, if you look at this, the withdrawals make a big difference in how you're taking the income and what that market volatility does. So if you take a look at this, and I'm sorry, I'm having some computer issues for a second, so give me just 1 second. Brian, are you able to get on?
Yes, Abby, what's the challenge?
My computer has frozen. So right now my computer is frozen. I apologize. But if you do take a look, and I'm going to keep talking through this. But if you do take a look at this, you can see you've got zeros of your investment all the way down in the last years. So it definitely makes a difference. Let me see if this will work now. Do you see a screen change?
Yes,
Yep,
Abby,
I
we
see it,
did.
Abby.
Perfect, thank you. Our last derailer is taxes. Certainly taxes can reduce your income in retirement, and many people overlook the impact of taxes when preparing for the retirement. They think the tax code won't change or it doesn't really have much impact. But if you look at my next slide, we really don't know what for sure the taxes are going to look like. But if you look at my next slide, there are different tax sources that they need to take a look at. These sources, you can be tax me now, which are your CDs, your stocks, your mutual funds. You tax me later, which is your pensions, your IRAs, your annuities, 401ks, and Social Security. And then you're likely to never be taxed, where you've got your municipal bonds, your life insurance for sure, your Roth IRAs, and then your HSAs using for medical expenses. So consider this. What are your chances of becoming chronically ill or terminally ill? How will you prevent a lifelong from becoming a financial burden? How will you protect or cover the gap resulting in the low interest rates? Do you have a plan in place to protect in case of a volatile market? And what will you do to address the impact of taxes? So, if you're thinking of that, those are your 5 derailers, right? I'm going to go through a quick case study, and I want you to just listen to what we've come up with for a solution. So meet Jane. It will be quick, I promise. She has some concerns. Those concerns is she's got some restrictions on her employer pension contributions. She's got restrictions on her IRA or Roth contributions, taxation of Social Security and their benefits, and the rising cost of healthcare. Inflation is uncertain, and she is expecting to live a long life. So she wants a strategy to help protect her family if she dies unexpectedly, and she also wants to save for retirement. She wants to maximize those contributions, and she also wants to have that money available if she ever becomes ill or needs it in an emergency. So what our solution was a life insurance policy that we could offer a chronic or terminal illness. What we decided was our Index Advantage UL, which is our cash accumulation index product. It has the potential for cash value. It has the benefits in case she becomes chronically ill. It has flexible premiums. It also has tax advantages. So they can take out withdrawals tax-free. She's got the flexibility to supplement her income, no income-based contributions, and no withdrawal requirements prior to age 51. And she doesn't have, or 59, I'm sorry, 59 and a half. With that being said, are there any questions?
Abby, does that complete your presentation?
That is the presentation.
All right, great info. So if anyone in the audience has any questions for Abby, Trish, or Dorota, please share them now, and we'll do our best to get those answered. It may take them a moment or two to type those questions in, Abby. So if you or Trish or Dorota have any additional thoughts you want to share, please feel free, and we'll see if there's any questions for you in a moment or two.
Yeah, I really want to touch on our chronic illness rider and why I feel like that's important. Life insurance has always been viewed as a protection play and really hasn't been viewed as an asset class. And when you put on the benefit access rider, it's looking at it in a different light. So putting on that benefit access rider or long-term care rider or chronic illness rider that you have attached to a death benefit definitely makes that an asset class in addition to everything else that you've been saving.
Ryan, this
Awesome.
is Trish. I'd also like to add, for any of the producers, brokers, or GAs that may be on the line, if you ever want to discuss this in greater detail, your insurance designer's agency can certainly help you with that. They have access to this full presentation and can go into greater detail if that's ever needed.
Awesome. Appreciate that offer, Trish. Well, at this time, there are no questions. So, Abby, I think we get to cut you loose for the rest of the day. We really appreciate the presentation. I appreciate everyone taking a few minutes out of their day to learn more about these different planning concepts. Trish or Dorota, if you have any closing thoughts, please share.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ryan, and thank you, Abby, for your time today. And Ryan, you know, we wouldn't be able to put these webinars together and bring these sales ideas to the producers without our relationship with you, the great relationship you have with Prudential. So we thank you again for IDA. And again, if anybody has any questions, they can feel free to reach out to, I'm sure you, Ryan, at IDA or Abby Baker. And we thank you again for your time today.
Feelings mutual, Dorota. Thanks everyone for their time, and have a great rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you.